Hey, welcome to Clarity Tarot. Here's what we're doing today. Our question is going to be, what do you know is true in this situation? So have you ever been in that really confusing situation? You're like, what is even going on here? What are they thinking and feeling? What am I even thinking and feeling? And the more you think about it, the more tied up in knots you become mentally. We have all been there. This reading is going to help you get to the bottom line of, okay, yeah, there's a lot of things you don't know, but what do you know? And this could also apply to what job should I take, or how should I move forward in my life generally? Whatever, you can take this any which way, but what we're going to see is what you already know, down to your bones, is true in this situation, okay? And we're also gonna not use any stones or objects to pick today. If you really want something beyond just the visual here, you can check out the timestamps. Sometimes numbers can be helpful to pick a reading, but I encourage you just to go with your intuition and what's calling to you. And I'm really interested to see where we go with this reading today. I haven't done this question before, but I think it's going to be a useful one. So here are the piles: pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, pile 4, pile 5, and pile 6. See you at your reading. Hey, pile 1, thank you for being here. We're asking, what do you know that you know that you know in this situation? And here we have the 4 of Cups. What do you know that you know that you know that you know that you know? Well, you're not happy. You're dissatisfied. You know that this does not do it for you. Maybe you can't even tell yourself exactly what the problem is. Maybe that's part of what really frustrates you. And you're like, what is it about this person? I really want to like them. On paper, they're great. This job is awesome. It pays me all the money I want. I love my commute. I love my coworkers. Why am I not happy? So what you don't have is the reason why, but what you do know down to your bones is that you're not about it. You don't want it. And this is not like I got something great and I'm dissatisfied with something else in my life. No, this emotion is, I know that this is wrong for me. There is something about this that goes against my nature, that goes against who I am as a person, in a way that depletes me, in a way that promotes decay, disease, destruction, all the D words. It's not a good situation, and I think you're really struggling because of another D word, dissonance, which is when what we feel and what our mind is telling us, it's called cognitive dissonance. So basically it means that your mind is saying one thing and everything else in you is saying something else. For example, if you're a child, I hate this example, but it's what came to mind. If you're a child and you're in an unsafe or abusive situation in your family, there's part of you that's afraid, that wants to run, that knows that I'm not safe. But then mentally you're like, but this is my parent. They love me. I love them. We're connected. We're family. And so often in those situations, we will try to overpower our experience with our mind. So it's almost like you tell yourself, or you try to convince yourself mentally that things are one way when everything in you is screaming something else. That's an extreme example. It might not be that you're in a dangerous situation, although for some of you, actually, if that is your truth, you would already know that. But if you're listening to this reading right now and you're like, I know this is dangerous. I can't understand why. I don't know why I feel that, but it is. Then this is your cue to run. And here's where I tell the uncomfortable story. My goodness, I'm being asked to do this more and more often in readings. So I met someone at one time in my life where it was someone I was very attracted to romantically. And that was, a feeling I'd had many times. I was in my early 30s, I think, or maybe I was even in my 20s at that time. And I was like, okay, this person's interesting to me. But my entire body, just was totally paralyzed. with fear. And I could not figure it out what it was about this person that I was afraid of. Because mentally I'm like, oh, we work together, everything's fine, there's no issue here. But it was to the point that like I would be standing and talking to this person, just, like chit chat, like water cooler chit chat at work kind of thing. And my whole body would literally shake. And I was like, what is going on with this? And I mean, many, many, many years of entanglement with that person later, and I went down the whole like twin flame rabbit hole with it. And all to say, like, I was certainly not safe in that situation, and I couldn't understand what was happening. I think because it was new. I'd never been in what I would consider like spiritual danger from a person before like that, in a way where I was really vulnerable. And it really scared me in a way that mentally was all I could do was reject that because it was foreign. So for some of you, this is a situation where in one way or another, like you are in danger. And I don't want to scare you, because, there is that percentage of you that are watching where it's just like, this isn't good, so get out of it. But there are certainly some of you here that it's like, it's not just, it's not good. Like your system is sounding the red alarm. And I just want you to know, like, you would, if that's you, you would know, you would have like the blaring, like runaway feelings and sensations and overwhelm. Now, what I want to say about this, sometimes we can get like a false alarm inside of ourselves if something reminds us of a past negative experience. And so it can sometimes be hard to tell whether what you're receiving is like true intuition and a warning, or if it's just like a PTSD reaction or something like that. And what I'm wanting to say about that is, if you give yourself a little bit of self-care, if you do some deep breathing, if you go into a dark room, if you give yourself a hug or some like belly pats and you say like, it's okay, like we're safe, you will get the response from your body. Like your body will either calm and settle a little bit, or it will relax like 10% and say, but no, you're not listening. Like this really is not okay. This is really not okay for us. This is really not safe. And if you listen closely, I think you'll hear the difference with that. So what else, Spirit, for pile 1, do they know that they know that they know? I think you also know that making a change or protecting yourself or moving away in this situation is going to be on a range from uncomfortable to very challenging or embarrassing. And that's the worst. I really feel for you. I have been there. I've totally been there. And what I'm hearing on that is it's like, it's an opportunity to, I don't love this language, but like to prove your loyalty. Like, whose side are you on, really? Are you on this company's side, on this person's side, on your family's side, or are you on the side of your own inner child that needs protecting and is yelling at you like, hey, I need you right now? With any relationship in life, there are not a lot of opportunities, a few opportunities throughout a lifetime where we can really step up and be the hero in somebody else's story. And you have the opportunity right now to be the hero to your own inner child and protect them. Even if it's weird, even if other people aren't going to understand it, even if you're going to feel kind of embarrassed or ashamed, you have that opportunity. And I think it's what's being asked of you from the deeper part of yourself. Here's where I say, if this isn't resonating for you, it's possible that this pile isn't for you. If this is your message, like everything in you right now is going to be like nodding and like, oh, thank you for saying that. Yes, that is how it is. So if you're not having that experience, this may not be your reading. You might want to go back and try to pick another pile. anytime a reading is a message for you, it will land. I mean, I'll just say how it lands for me in my body. I guess it's probably a little different for everybody. But when I hear a reading and the message is for me, it's almost like, I thought it'd be easier to describe than it is. Hold on. It's like, it's like I chew and swallow it and it's now a part of me. It's not even like I have to remember something from that reading or I have to like go and do something now. It's like I hear something, it's a truth that I accept. I get that 1% closer to spirit, to my higher self, and I go on with my life. It's not something that I have to like performance manage or make myself take some actions. No, the message is the message, and then if I accept the truth of that, then I also trust that any action that will flow from it will come at the right time, and that right time might be immediately after the reading. It could also be weeks or years later. You just don't know. But even if it's a hard message, if the reading is for me, it's like I leave that message with total acceptance that was what I needed to hear that day. Okay, pile one. Wow. We are starting off with a bang on this reading. Very interesting. I would love to hear from you. Please let me know if that resonated for you, if there's anything you want to say about it in the comments. Like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next one. Hi, pile two. Welcome to your reading. Let's see what cards you have. We are asking, what do you know in this situation? Down to your bones. What do you know that you know that you know that you know? And we have the Knight of Wands with the Six of Cups. I just realized I can zoom this in quite a bit more since, you know, we just have two little playing deck cards here. So what you know in this situation is that the person or the environment that you're in, whether it's a family or a job or a country, you know that a part of you has come alive and come online that you've never met before. Maybe you always knew this part of you was there, but in your entire life, it's never truly just arrived on the scene like it has recently. And that's how you know that this person or place is a soulmate to you. And let me tell you what I mean when I use that word. To me, a soulmate, you know, most of us, I think, have maybe up to 5 in our lifetime. And for some, it might be a few more or a few less. But these are the people and places that speak deeply to us, where we feel like we belong with them, that there's a sense of, if not instant recognition, a deep recognition, a deep feeling of togetherness. And I understand you, you understand me in a way that I can't even really talk about. And there's a part of me that feels seen and loved that I either previously hadn't been aware of, or if I had been aware of it, I've been that part of me has been roaming the earth looking for its home or looking for its partner in a way. So, and that's just my definition. It's one definition. There could be many, infinite probably, definitions of what a soulmate is. But what you know in this situation is that this person or place operates like a soulmate to you. You know that there is now a part of you that is alive and vibrant and online that was previously, I'm hearing previously dead to you. Previously, maybe you knew it was there, but you know what's coming to mind? This is so funny to me. In a lot of romance novels, I don't know why this is a thing, but in many romance novels, the female heroine in them is, you know, talking about getting sensual with her new partner. And she's like, yeah, I just think I'm broken. I think there's something wrong with me. I've never been able to just explode in that kind of a situation. And I'm kind of cold. It's hard for me to get there or whatever. There's this kind of shtick or storyline, which always makes me kind of roll my eyes. because obviously you're with the wrong partner, in my opinion, like, duh. But anyway, there's something like that here. Maybe it even is like literally that for you. Maybe this is like your sensual revolution. I don't know. But there's some part of you that you felt like just was not alive in the world. It could even be like emotional, or maybe this is like your first time falling in love with somebody. And so you're like, oh, like I am like other people. I can feel that deep, like in love feeling, and I didn't know. But for many of you, this is more of like a friend or a family. I'm getting for many of you, it's like a location, like you moved somewhere and you're like, oh my goodness, like this is where I belong. This is where I want to live. It's bringing out this new side of me that's like so exciting and I really love. So the thing that you know is that there is this new part of you, that it's good that it's coming out. Even if it's scary, I feel like your emotions are probably complicated about this new side of yourself that you're seeing. But the complicated part of the emotional reaction is like fear of change, maybe grief, like clinging to who you used to be, because I think there was more safety probably in however you used to be, which is... It's weird. So I actually don't even know if I relate to this pile, but I'm being called to share this example. So I just moved from Los Angeles, California, which is like a very busy, big city, obviously in the US. And I moved to Greenville, South Carolina, which is like this tiny town. I think there's still maybe like 1 million people in the metro area, but that's like really pushing it. It's pretty small. And the thing that I've noticed since living here is like how much I love like knowing every street, knowing literally the 7 restaurants that there are downtown, or the 5 parks that are within walking distance, and the names of the 7 suburbs and the 4 highways and whatever. Like there's something like so satisfying to me about being able to know everything. And also it feels more manageable to me. Like the world outside doesn't feel like too big to manage, which LA always did, but I liked that too. Like I liked that there was always stimulation, there was always something new. But here, it's like it feels so nice to feel so settled and grounded, and like I have roots, and it makes me want to be at home more. It makes me want to bake more. I'm doing all this baking and like cooking, and wanting to like bake at home and eat at home, which is just, I mean, I've always been like, take me to the new restaurant and whatever. So I wouldn't say that for me, it's to the point of like feeling uncomfortable and I want to, well, maybe I am. I don't know. I might have to rewatch this pile later. I'm feeling a little uncomfortable about how much I'm talking about myself. Again, anyway, there's something like that here though, where you are, it's like you know that this is a good change, but it also just creates some confusion because you were very attached maybe to the way that you were before. And it doesn't necessarily mean it was good or bad. It was just attached, right? Like you can be attached to any kind of thing for any kind of reason. And so it's almost like you're meeting the new you, you're getting to know yourself again. And that's uncomfortable. So let's add that to the list of the things that you know. You know that this is a soulmate situation for you, that a new part of you is coming to life, and that is uncomfortable. Like, so those 3 things, new part of yourself, soulmate, uncomfortable. Yeah. Anything else, Spirit, for pile 2 that they should know that is their truth in the situation? And maybe it's hard for you to accept these truths right now, as opposed to pile 1, where it was like, you know, what I was saying in pile 1 is if this is your pile, like everything in you right now is saying, yes, that's it. Yes, that's true. For you, pile 2, it's not that. You're probably like, I'm not so sure. Like even my own reaction and like telling my story of moving here, like, I don't know that I would say like this location is a soulmate experience for me. I'm not so sure. But the reason you may be feeling that is because of the attachment to the former you. Does it make sense? So if you spend some time thinking and feeling through like just the disconnect or the dissonance between who you were and who you are in this space or with that person, that's going to help things become more clear for you. Does it make sense? I'd love to hear from you, Pile 2. Please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Let me know if this reading resonated for you. Even if it didn't, I'd be curious to hear about that too. And if it didn't resonate, you can always go back to the beginning, pick another pile. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Thanks for coming by. Hey, Pile 3, thank you for being here. We are asking the question, what do you know that you know that you know? Deep in your bones, what is the truth of this situation for you? And we have the Nine of Wands, the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Pentacles. What is your truth in this situation? The truth of the situation is that you're trying really hard. You're trying to bring more love into the situation. You're trying to ground it down, to move slowly, to help things grow. Is that it? It's kind of like, I mean, the results are a little different for each of you. Some of you, it's like, yes, you're trying really hard. You're bringing love into the situation. And it's growing like wildfire. It's growing too fast, or it's not growing at all, or whatever. It's like the result is different for each of you, but the truth for everyone listening is that you've been trying really hard, you've been focused on love, and you've been taking small little steps one by one. And that's the important thing to know here. Here's an example. This would be like maybe, I think there's maybe a couple of you watching that have this scenario. If you're asking about something related to personal growth, like let's say if I came to this reading and I was asking, what do I know about my own spiritual development or my own emotional growth, I might get this pile, which says, well, what you know is that you are focusing on it, you're taking one step at a time, you're moving forward in very measured but like progressive steps, and your motivation is love. So what else do you need to know? You know, like it's not about like how far I get or how emotionally or spiritually evolved I become. It's what am I doing with the energy that I currently have in my life? And can I sleep at night? Like can I live with that? And the message is coming through in this pile is you're doing everything that you can do, because at the center of it is love. Love primarily for yourself, but also if this is about another person or a different situation, there's also that. You're also offering love to the others, but not at your own expense. You're not being codependent with this. You're including yourself in the room and in the circle. You're saying like, I need the same love that everyone else does. And this is the first pile I've said this in, but like Spirit is so proud of you. Oh my goodness. Like I could explode from how happy, is happy the word? It's not even, I don't know. It's hard to describe this feeling because it's not like the bursting overwhelm feeling. It's this settled, grounded, like almost like a deep breath out. Like when you realize you'd been holding your breath and you didn't know it. It's something like that, like release of what had been tense before, or like when you have you ever tried like making fists or tensing all your muscles and then releasing it and like feeling the relaxation of that? There's something like that here. So what do you know that your love has been your motivation, that you've been trying really hard, that you've been taking the steps you've been guided to take along the way, and nothing else matters. Truly. If you fail, if this relationship doesn't work out, if it turns out that you never make any progress towards whatever goal this is, none of that will matter, because your intent and your focus has always been to do the right thing. And not like the right thing. I want to say this just the perfect way. Your intent has always been compassion for everybody involved. And if you really think about it, I mean, just like kind of take yourself out of the situation for a moment. If compassion for every person involved is always somebody's point of view and intent, how can that not make you a more beautiful person in every way? And yeah, you might come across some negative situations, but then you get yourself out of them. So I think this is phenomenal, pile 3. Let me just see if there's anything else. So there's not a card suggesting this here in the reading, but it's just coming through intuitively to say, which is that you can trust the result of where you're going to get. This reading is not about the result. That's a different question. But Spirit's just wanted me to let you know, like, and by the way, you're going to be happy with where you end up. And I think that's happy in like the spiritual sense. So, for example, if you're asking about a relationship, it doesn't mean the relationship will necessarily work out, but even if it doesn't, you're going to be happy about the result because you're going to be in a better place. And likewise, like it could be the opposite too. It could be that the relationship does work out and it's like the perfect, most beautiful union. You'll be happy with the result. Either way, you're going to be aligned with yourself and aligned with Spirit, and that's what matters. Thank you, pile 3. Really beautiful energy. Thank you for coming to my channel. Please leave me a like, comment, or subscribe. I'd love to hear how that resonated for you, and I will see you in the next one. Hey, pile 4, thanks for coming by. Today's reading is What Do You Know That You Know That You Know? Down to your bones, and I really appreciate you visiting. Let's see what cards you have. We have the 2 of Wands and the 7 of Wands. What do you know that you know that you know? So this is about some kind of choice you're about to make. I think you're on the precipice of something like very exciting, but also terrifying, pile 4. So what you know is that the next step you make is going to change your life. And it could be like a really amazing positive change. It also could be everything spectacularly falling apart, which would be very overwhelming and sad and scary. And so I think you're at a point, like you're definitely not at rock bottom, like you've built something. This could be you've built a name for yourself. It could be you've built some wealth. Maybe it's even just like you've built a certain number of years at a company or in a relationship, and you don't want to lose what you've built into that. What's the name for that? It's not confirmation bias. Oh my goodness, someone put it in the comments. It's like, it's when you've invested in something, it's this bias that we have to continue investing because we've already put a lot into it, whether or not it's a good thing for us anymore, right? Anyway, but I do think for most of you, like whatever you've built, it is a good thing, and you're at this point in your life where like, oh, like what I've built, I'm actually scared if it falls apart. Maybe in the past you've been good at like leaping into the unknown, but it's also been made a little bit easier because you haven't had a lot to risk, if it makes sense. So, now you're at a point where to go for what you really want, it's a risk. That's the truth of the situation. If you actually go for what you want, you risk a lot. That doesn't mean that it's bad or good necessarily, but the truth is it is a risk, and there's no way around the risk. There's no way to eliminate the risk. There's no way to put all of your money into a stock and see what's going to happen with it and have it represent 0 risk. There's no way to have an amazing love in this lifetime without risk. Great risk, great reward. It's the rule in finances. It's the rule in love, in everything. You can certainly make tiny risks, but if you want to make tiny risks, then you need to make 100 of them over and over a long period of time to build that up. Yeah. I don't know why I'm wanting to make so many money metaphors. Maybe they speak to you, pile 4, but it's like, let's say you've never had any money your entire life. You're 55 years old and you're coming into money now and you're like, I need to save for retirement somehow, but I want to retire in 10 years. So what am I going to do? it's not probably the best idea to put all of your money in low risk, low reward type investments, because 10 years isn't really that long to be able to have enough to retire on. So it's kind of like go big or go home. I really hate that I'm giving like some kind of financial advice right now. Here's where I remind you that if you want to make any kind of financial decision, to actually speak to a financial advisor, whatever. But I think you get the point of what I'm saying. It's like there's no way to get to where you want to go. Here's another truth of your situation. There's no way to get to where you want to go without risk. And that could be because of your particular situation. So maybe some people can get to your particular goal without a massive amount of risk, but for you, that's not a possibility. Another example coming to mind, like let's say you're a parent, maybe you're a single parent and one of your children has special needs or is neurodivergent or any number of things where it's like you feel very protective of them. It could even just be that they're a child, they're a young child. That's always going to represent a risk to bring somebody new into that child's life. Like there's no way that that's not a risk. There's no way that you can 100% protect that from going badly. Obviously, you might want to run a background check on whoever you're dating, make sure that they don't have a history of violence towards children. There's some things that you can do, but can you 100% make sure that the situation is risk-free? No, you cannot. So there's something about that that's important for you to acknowledge to be able to take the next step. And the other part of that with the Seven of Wands, and this especially applies if what you're asking about has something to do with like you stepping out in some way. So like you stepping into leadership, you going online, you becoming more visible, you going out and dating again. You are going to expose yourself to the opinions of others, and not all of those opinions will be positive. So yes, you will receive some negative feedback, and some of it could be harsh, some of it could be painful, some of it could be overwhelming, and for some of you, that is part of the price that you will have to pay to get to your goal. That is another truth of the situation. There is no way to have what you want and not open yourself up that way to at least some degree. Now you can certainly minimize that. You can certainly look at ways to reduce the impact it might have on you, but there's no way to be a super visible person. There's no way to be the most famous person in the world and not have everybody's energy and emotions and projections and opinions thrown on you. I mean, do you know any famous person that is shielded from that? No. It's why they all have, teams though that help them with that. So so that is the truth of the situation for you, pile 4, that you are just about to step out into a major decision. It does represent risk. There's no way to get what you want without the risk. So your only decision is, how much do you want this? And if you're willing to accept the risk, how can you mitigate the risk? And of course, there's also, it's always a legitimate answer to say, I don't want to take that risk. I'd rather, struggle financially for the rest of my life and not risk losing all my investments because I'm 55. I'd rather save what little I have and know that I can still eat every day, even if I'm on government assistance or whatever else. I'd rather have that than my goal or what I really would truly want. That choice is always available to you, or however that applies, with the metaphor. Okay, pile 4, that was your reading. I'm really curious what you thought. Please leave me a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. I'd love to hear how it resonated for you, or even if it didn't. That's always interesting for me too. If it just didn't resonate for you at all, you may want to go back and pick another pile. And there's also the possibility that there wasn't an exact message in this reading for you today. So you can check out my playlist of pick a card readings. I've got a bunch of them in there. I think maybe more than 100. Maybe the answer you seek will be in one of those, or another reader. Sometimes it's just not the right fit, and that's okay. So thanks for coming by, pile 4, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey Pile 5, welcome to your reading. We are looking at what do you know to be true in this situation? What do you know that you know that you know that you know, down to your bones. And let's see what cards you have. You got a million cards, so I think you know a lot about this situation. I think you are the person that clicked on this pile that's like, I pretty much know what I think in this situation, but let's just see what the reading's gonna say. So I can already kind of guess that might be where you're at. We have the Four of Pentacles, the King of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, the Five of Cups, and the Queen of Swords. Oh, Pile 5, be my friend, please. Seriously, find me, friend me everywhere. I love this energy. What do you know that you know? You know that you've got it. You know that you're going to hold on to what you have, whether that's money, emotional energy, generosity, space, privacy. I don't know what this resource is of yours that you are conserving, but you are keeping at bay all of the vultures, any of the people circling you that would be intent on making use of or taking advantage of what you have to offer. And with the Queen of Swords, you are ready to just lay down the law and let them know what's up if anybody tries to inappropriately take from you. This energy does not happen by accident, I have to tell you. And I am not getting a negative vibe whatsoever. If there are any moments in time where you feel like, oh, maybe I'm too harsh, the only reason you feel that is because you're so soft-hearted, because you're so willing to give whatever you can to someone, because you're so empathic and motivated to help. Like a person that's truly cold-hearted, that thought wouldn't go through their mind, right? And it's reminding me of imposter syndrome. You know, that feeling of like, I'm not good enough. Like, how did I get this job? How did I get this person? So the research on that is very interesting. You might have heard me mention this in a reading before, because it comes up occasionally. But the research shows that actually people don't get imposter syndrome unless you're already a high performer. And high performer, I think, was defined as something like 65, so like above average, 65% to 100%. Like you have to be in that range of performance to even get imposter syndrome. So that means if you're feeling like, oh, I might not be good enough, you already know that you are, according to science or pseudoscience or whatever, these surveys were, but you already are good enough because you wouldn't even be feeling that if you were truly not enough. Does it make sense? I'm also thinking of like that quadrant of like, what are the four quadrants? I'm going to not name these correctly. Someone correct me in the comments if you'd like to, but one quadrant is like competent and knowledgeable. So like, you know what you're doing and you know what you're doing. Then there's like not knowledgeable, then competent. Like you are not knowledgeable. You're aware that you're not competent, which in itself like is a strength in a way, right? Because like, okay, you see the gap between where you want to be and where you are. So you're able to work on that. Then there's, I said that backwards. Oh my goodness. I'm really following this up. Somebody please help me out in the comments. But the idea is that like some people know that they're great. Some people know that they have a lot to offer. Some people don't know that they have so much to offer, and that's dangerous. It's also dangerous to think you have a lot to offer if you don't, but the most dangerous is to have nothing and know nothing and just have like no awareness whatsoever. But you are in this quadrant that like you're very aware of what you have, and you just happen to have a lot. So I think it's taken a lot for you to get to this moment where you've got it going on, Pile 5, and there's a lot of people around that would like what you have and would like it for no investment and no connection, and you're not about that. Not because you're malevolent or unfeeling, but because, what's the word? There's a right word for this. You're fair. You're fair. If you worked hard for something, that should be for the benefit of yourself and the people you love. not for just the random person you pass on the street. Unless you have abundance, and then of course it's up to you to share, whether that abundance is money, time, emotional energy, whatever, friendship, whatever else. You're very aware that in the past, either you've overgiven or you've been surrounded by manipulative people who have taken from you in inappropriate ways, or both. You're very aware of this, and you no longer allow it to continue. It's been one of the biggest lessons of your lifetime. And this reading is here to tell you that that is behind you. That part of your life is no longer to recur. Like, I'm really having to hold myself back from like pounding on this table and saying like, you are amazing, good job. Like, I can feel what it took for you to get to this place with this like shining King of Pentacles in the center of this reading, and you deserve it, pile 5. Everything you've done to get here, you worked for. You had no help along the way of the kind of help that you needed to learn this. Yes, you've had help, but the help to learn this, you had none. And Spirit is so, so proud of you. Why is this the thing that's coming through as like what you know that you know that you know? I think because it's very important for you to hear that you're fair. Because fairness isn't about how I feel about someone or something. It's not about where my loyalties lie or my values or what strings can be pulled. It's not about my socioeconomic status, about the causes I support. This is almost, for some reason, where my brain is going now is like market research. You know how like different charities or even political groups will pull data on people to find out like, okay, what's their net worth and what kind of things do we know already by public record or not so public record that they've given money to. So who can we reasonably expect that might be somebody that we could partner with or that might donate to us or whatever? And so even though there are certain like demographics like that, it's just like you've gotten to the point where you're not manipulatable. And I can almost like feel you reacting to me saying that like, well, that's the moment you think the moment you think you can't be had, that's when you open yourself to being manipulated. And yes, that's true. But at a certain point, there is that 0.1% of people that have been through the ringer enough that really can't be taken for a ride anymore. And it's not because of what you know, pile 5. It's not because of how great your brain is. It's how much you trust yourself. It's how close you are to your own intuition. And if you get a negative hit about somebody, that's it. Like, it's cut off. You may not do anything to hurt them. You're not malicious, but you're not going to be generous with them anymore. And you're a very generous person, pile 5. If people accuse you of anything different, it's because they have become upset that they're no longer the recipient. And it's always just. If they're no longer receiving your generosity, it's for a good reason. Oof. I feel the fire of this pile so much. It's amazing. It's like that. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation or like even just watched a movie or read a book where there's like that holy justice or like righteous anger, retribution, or like, I'm even thinking like Lord of the Rings, like you shall not pass. That energy is what's coming through this pile in a way that's really healthy and balanced and beautiful. And I'm serious. Send me a friend request. Love you. Come again. Leave me a like, comment, or subscribe. Okay, thanks. Hey, pile 6. Welcome to your reading. We are looking at what do you know to be true? Thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful that you visited my channel today. Let's see what cards you have. We have the King of Swords and the Knight of Swords. What do you know that you know that you know? Well, you know that this person was an a-hole. My goodness. So I don't always get that from these two cards. It's not like you have to be that way if you're a King of Swords and or a Knight of Swords. But yeah, you know, that this person acted in a very cold and unfeeling and harsh way to you. I'm hearing they treated you like you would never treat anyone. And you see how my finger is out here? There would be someone who would be wagging a finger in this person's face if they were ever to act that way. Like if they acted that way in front of their mother or their neighbor or their third grade teacher, you know that they would have hell to pay, hell 6 for sure. I'm getting, for most of you that are asking here, this is about a person. I guess in some cases it could be like a culture, like a work culture, something like that. But if you're asking about like something like you just generally know in life, it might not be your pile unless you've really run into a bajillion a-holes in your life. I guess that way it could apply. Anyway, back to what you know. You know that this person just acted in a way that was unconscionable. It just was not. It was not okay. And not only was it not okay, I think you would have some compassion for them to react this way and act this way, but then they never circled back and apologized or acknowledged like, hey, I'm sorry. Like maybe this person came over to your house and got like really high or drunk and broke your favorite vase from your, I don't know, relative from the 17th century and trashed your house and then just acted like everything was normal the next day. Right? Like it's bad enough that they did what they did, came into your house and tracked mud all over your dirty shoes, like metaphorically or literally. Maybe they said a lot of really unfair things to you. Like that's enough. But they also did not later try to make it right or acknowledge what happened. And I think that's the biggest deal. And you know more than anything, pile 6, that that's not okay. Because I think you're a very compassionate person. And I think you understand that we're all human. And everyone does really stupid and messed up things at some point in their life. With the same set of stressors, many of us would make very similar choices that are not so good. You see that, you know that, and you have forgiveness for people. I think where you might struggle is when someone doesn't acknowledge their actions or apologize. Maybe you're an Enneagram 1. I actually don't see this as, I think this is actually a really great quality because I find it appropriate. Like, if someone doesn't acknowledge, at least to themselves, where they were in the wrong and then try to, in some way, I was going to say make penance, but that's not exactly right. Like it's more about accepting grace actually than making penance. Like just acknowledging, hey, I was terrible. And I feel shame about that. It wasn't my best moment. I'm really sad about how it affected you. I regret it. And I don't even know what to say right now because I feel so bad about it and I don't know if I can change. And so it's hard to even say like, I promise it won't happen again, because it might happen again because I'm a messed up human and sometimes I do terrible things. And I just want to say that to you and I'm sorry. Like that is what you respect more than anything, I think, pile 6. And I find that to be, I don't know, appropriate or the truth or like the best way to be as a human, which of course is subjective, but anyway. My channel, my rules. And because this person is unwilling to have the authenticity or the humility to say that, it's really hard for you. But coming back to the things that you know for sure in the situation, this person acted wrongly and it wasn't okay. That's what you know. That's what you can come back to in the situation. And we can talk all day about how you could have reacted better, how you could have supported them more, how you could have been more amazing. But the point and the truth of everything that happened here is they were in the wrong, they were terrible, and you cannot in any way make up for them not taking accountability for that. It's making me think of a few times in my life where there's been like a relationship that's gone wrong, or you had a conflict situation. I'm saying you, but I mean I've had a conflict situation with someone And I tried to bring it to them and I say, this is what I experienced. I felt hurt because you acted in these ways. And if the person says, well, I didn't do any of that and I didn't hurt your feelings and you hurt my feelings this way. Like, what do you do with that? Your options are to either say, oh yeah, you're right. I was totally in the wrong and I'm sorry. And everything you did was fine. That's not like true resolution of a problem. The other person has to also acknowledge, especially in a situation like this where they were mostly in the wrong. And I know it's easy to say, because most of us think that the other person was wrong, but I'm getting in the situation and I'm going to put a little buffer in here for some of the situations that are running through my mind, but it's at least 70-30. Can we say that? At least 70% on this person's end. And I do think that either you did apologize or acknowledge your part in the situation, or even if you didn't, you're 100% willing to, if this person can even come to the table in a collaborative energy. So let's tell the truth about that you're open to reconciliation and this person is not, unless it involves you taking a knee. And what's the other expression? They want you to kiss the ring. And I think you're humble enough to do that in some situations, Pile 6, but you're not going to kiss the knee and bow down to somebody that is a tyrant or that is wrong or abusive or negative. It offends your value system, your sensibilities. It's not okay. And I agree with you. Damn, you go with Pile 6. I love this for you. Not really, because it sounds like a terrible situation, but I love that I love what you know. That you know that this person is just not where they need to be. And you're not going to budge. And I don't think you should. So let me just see if there's anything else. I'm getting so fired up. Yeah, the other thing, this person was not and currently is not accessing their vulnerable side or their heart. They're trying to stay very mental. They're trying to stay detached from the situation. And whatever your situation is, it is one that requires attachment. It requires engagement. Maybe it's a marriage. Maybe it's a work conflict. Maybe it's a parent-child deal. Whatever it is, it requires, it's appropriate to have emotionality. And so them refusing to allow that in is inappropriate. And you also see that and you're not with it, Pile 6. Thank you for coming by today. I really appreciate you being here. I would love to hear what you thought about this reading. Please leave me a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you thought in the comments. I'd be really curious to hear. And thank you so much for coming by. I will see you at the next one. Bye.